Hi guys, welcome back. Right, today it's Thursday, 2 o'clock, and what I'm going to be doing is test fitting the white tins, the military theme bike tins, out 3 rows, onto the bike. So I'm going to have to take mine off to put these on, tap the threads out in the tins because obviously they've got paint in them, so I'm going to be doing all that. So what I'll do is I'll let you follow me about on the bike as I do things, set the camera up in different positions so you can see what I'm doing, and I'll just talk you through the basics of, you know, removing everything and putting everything back on. I've already done a video on this, but obviously I'm going to do it as part of this for people who ain't seen those videos. Alright then, so I'm going to crack on and get these tapped out, and I'll see you in a bit. Alright, cheers. Okay, this is the back of the rear fender. You've got that thread there, which is for the passenger seat bolt, where the back seat goes. Alright, so we're going to tap that one out now. This is an M6 bolt, so you want an M6, and the thread pitch on this is 1.0. That's the thread pitch on that tap there. So it's just a case of starting it off. Let's just get the camera up a little bit so you can see. There you go. Just turn it back, turn it back, turn it back. Just keep doing that all the way down, and you'll push the paint out the thread. There we go. So that's that one done. There we go. So that one's tapped out. That's an M6. Then we'll turn it round and we'll do the front seat mount. That one in there is an M8 thread pitch, and the M8 bolt, sorry, and the thread pitch on that one is 1.25. So same process as before. It's got a bit of muck on it, just give it a clean with my wire brush. Start it off. There you go. That's got the bite. That's it. Just take it halfway down, just so you know that you've pushed all the paint and all the muck and everything out. Obviously, because this thread's been bare for a while, you'll get a little bit of rust on the thread. So once it's all painted and the paint sealed, I'll put a little bit of oil in there, or some grease or something. Okay, so that's the front seat mount. Okay, the fender mounting bolts here that go on the cross member, these are also an M8 with a 125 thread pitch. There we go. It's making that noise because there's no lubricant on there. Obviously I don't want to spray lubricant in there just yet because the paint isn't sealed, so I'm just doing it dry. Right, that's the front fender mounts. Okay, the 2 threads at the side of the fender are also an M8 with a 125 pitch on them. Okay, there we go. That's the 7 M8 bolts, threads tapped out now. M8 1.25, and there's 7 of them on the rear tin. And you've got one M6. Okay, so here we have the tank, and we've got 3 threads to clean out here. These are an M5 tap with a 0.8 gauge on there. So you've got three on there. And what you do is you lift your seat a little bit, put your hand underneath like that, so it keeps it off your paintwork, and pull the seat backwards in a little bit of a rocking motion like that, and the seat will unclip like that. Okay, the next thing is this this bolt here, which secures the rear seat, the pillion seat. That is a 8mm. Once again, take it out and keep the rubber washer. Okay, the next thing to remove is that bolt there, which holds the tank onto the frame. That is also a 12mm. The washer's a little bit tight, so I'll leave that for now, and I'll take this out in a second. But that's the bolt for the tank. Okay, and finally the last thing you want to do before you can remove your tank is to turn your fuel tap to the off position horizontally. That turns the fuel off to the carburetors, and underneath you've got a like a Jubilee clip, but you just pinch it together like that, and then you push it backwards, so that takes it off the tank. Just push it back down the pipe a little bit. Get yourself a rag, because you'll have a couple of drips come out when you pull the pipe off, just to catch the drips, and then just ease the pipe off away from your tap. You'll get a little bit of petrol drip out the pipe. That's normal. Okay, just catch that. You can leave it there just to keep it off your engine. Okay, now we're ready to lift the tank off. Okay, lifting the tank off, it's quite easy. Lift it from the back slightly, like that. Get your hand underneath it, and then you want to bring the tank backwards slightly. Now remember, you have got a breather hose underneath here, which you will also have to disconnect. So just jiggle the tank back a little bit like that. There you go. Okay, and your breather hose is on the right hand side of the bike as you look at the bike. Alright, so you just want to get your hand up underneath. Slip your hand in. It's near the front. And then you just pull that off. And then your tank is now ready to lift off. Okay, there we go. That's the tank removed now. And there's the 2 tanks on the bench. So I'm going to dry fit the white one now, and just make sure that that it goes on easy enough. Okay, installing the tank is exactly the reverse of putting it on. So you want to take your tank. Now if you look underneath your tank, you've got these 2 curved pieces, right? They locate onto these rubbers either side. So it's a case of shoving the tank up and dropping it down onto there. Again, nice and carefully, just to make sure it lines up. Drop it down. Okay, that's fine. So that lines up with the rear bolt hole. It's nice and tight on those rubbers, so there's no movement there, so I haven't got to adjust those U-clips. Sometimes you might have to pull them in a little bit or open them up a little bit, it just depends. But that's okay. That's a good fit now. So what we'll do is we'll remove the front fender. Okay, the front fender, really easy to move and to take off. You need a 12mm spanner or a 12mm socket, whatever you've got, and you've got 2 bolts on the fork this side and 2 bolts on the other fork, and you just take all 4 bolts out. Right, on the brake caliper side, which is the left side as you're sitting on the bike, as well as the bolt that holds the fender bracket onto the forks, there is also a little clip, which is that one there. I don't know if you can see that. It's just a little clip, okay, which holds your brake cable in place. Okay, so just remember to put that back on. There's that clip, that one there. Alright, so just remember to put that back on. So once you've got the fender in, okay, you put the clip to the back of the fender bracket first, and then you put the bolt through both. Alright, okay, same again, 12mm. Two bolts this side. Mine come out relatively easy because I've just recently taken them off and repainted this fender bracket, and also I've had to have my tins re-clear coated because the clear coat started to peel a little bit, so I think a couple of weeks ago I took these off. So anyway, okay, that's the other bolt. Okay, that's the front fender removed. Okay, that's the front fender bracket removed off the black tins. Obviously it's a bit dirty, so I'm just going to give it a clean now before I test fit it onto the white tin. Okay, so that's the bracket nice and clean. Now what I'm doing with the 4 bolts, I'm just making sure that they go nicely into the holes, that there's not too much paint there. Just popping them in, just make sure that they go in. That's fine. So those go in nice. Oops. Okay. Obviously, putting this in is the reverse of taking it out. You just slide it in like that. Line up the holes. Just a word of warning: when you locate these into the plastic holes, don't force them. If they're tight, you'll notice that these bolts have got a collar around them. That collar obviously fits in the plastic, right? So what you want to do is just line everything up first, making sure that you got the orientation right, because the last thing you want to do is over tighten this plastic, because you will break it. Okay, so that's that side. as I said, this is just a test fit, just to make sure everything lines up and there's no issues, because the last thing we want to do is send it off to paint and then have it come back and find out that certain things don't line up properly and might need adjustment, and you've got to mess about with them and risk damaging the paint. So I'd rather do it now before everything's been painted. But the other reason why I'm putting these tins on the bike is so I can mark out, obviously, what surface area you're going to see and what you're not going to see. You'll see what I mean in a minute when I put the rear fender on. Okay, so I'm going to pop this back on the bike now. So there's no point showing you that. Just feed the back end in first, roll it round, line it up, and just put your bolts in. Okay, and there we go. That's the front fender back on now. Obviously I've got all of this fender to do artwork on, which is going to look really nice. Obviously on the tank I've got the full tank as well, including the side panels. So, right, time for the fun one now, the rear fender. We'll get that off and get the white tin on that and see how that looks. Okay, 3 10mm bolts. Sorry, 3 10mm nuts and washers, and remove your light assembly. Now what I've done, there is another video that shows you how to do all this, so I ain't going to bore you with it now. All I will say is just label them left, right, and then do the same on your wiring loom underneath. Just do them one at a time so you know the orientation which they go back in. Okay, so that's off now. That's the number plate and the indicator assembly. Also here, these have got to go in the new fender. Let's just bring you around here so you can see. Let's drop you down a little bit and zoom in a little bit just so you can see. I don't know if you can see these. Yeah, a little bit right. Hang on. There you go. Okay. Right, these three rubbers here, they've got a metal washer, tube washer, which goes through. So we obviously need these on the new fender so we can test it. Just put your hand around the back side and push those washers through, the metal ones. Okay, there's 3 there. Just gently push them through and you'll see the sort of thing that they are. Okay, and obviously they go in that way and the tube goes through the rubber. Okay, stops you compressing and squeezing and pinching your paintwork and everything, obviously. Okay, so once you get those 3 out, it's just a case of very gently get your hand at the back, gently push the rubber till it just starts to go through, and then just use your finger and just pop it through, and then they come through easy enough. You can use your finger, they're quite easy to get out. You might need to just collapse them a little bit and just help them push through. Okay, so we've got 3 of those. Okay, and again, those are your washers, your rubber ones. You'll see they've got a split all the way through the centre, and that's what obviously pinches on the thickness of the metal. Okay, so we're going to clean these up and give the light assembly rubber a clean as well, because I don't want to put it on the new fender dirty. We want to keep everything clean, and we'll get these off. These are off now, so we'll give those a clean. The rear brake light assembly, exactly the same principle. You've got 3 10mm nuts at the back, 2 at the top, 1 at the bottom. Take the assembly out, and then obviously disconnect the cable, clean the rubber up, and it's the reverse to assemble it. Okay, so that's the electrical done. The rear brake light and the indicator number plate cluster is taken off. Right, now we've got to remove these 2 bolts here, either side. Right. These are a number, let's have a look, a number 6 hex. Okay, so we're going to be, let's just bring you down a little bit so you can see a bit better. There you go. That's a bit better. Okay, right, so what we're going to be doing is taking these off. Now, remember the front one is longer than the back one, because these are obviously flared out and I'm thicker at the front than I am at the back. So your longest bolt goes at the front and your shorter one goes at the back. Right, now just taking these two out isn't enough to give you clearance to slide your tin out without scratching it. You need to remove or slacken off this front bolt here. That's a number 14, a 14mm. So what we're going to do is we're going to crack this off a bit, loosen it out. These are very tight. Now these don't actually attach the fender. They just attach this chrome trim to the frame. But you want to slacken them off because you will gain about 10mm either side, so you can comfortably lift your tins out without scratching them on the chrome. So you want to slacken those off just to the point where them just holding the chrome on, but obviously the bolts aren't coming out. So slacken those off, and then at the front of the fender down here you've got the 2 bolts in the cross member. Those are number 12mm, so you want to undo those. Again, don't take them all the way out yet, just take them out halfway, just so you've got a bit of movement. So we'll just slacken those off. Again, just leave a couple of threads in them, just so your tin doesn't suddenly drop. Okay, right, now you get your hex and you take these out. Just crack them off first, both sides. That's the one bolt, that's the longest bolt. Now you'll see what happens is, when you take your back one out, this chrome here will open up a little bit because we've released the pressure on this one, so it'll actually spread out a little bit, so it'll give you a bit of room to get your tin out without hopefully scratching it. It's a bit of a juggling game, this is. You could really do with 2 people to do this, but I'm on my own. So right, now when you get it to that point where you've got a bit of room between the fender and the chrome support, what I normally do is I slip some rag down between the 2 of them, so it protects your tin. So just feed your cloth down the side if you can. That's it. That'll just protect the tin when it drops, because it will drop as soon as we take this out. It will drop. Oh, let's get another one. Okay, there we go. So that's just protecting your tin. Right, now you can go ahead and release these 2 bolts. And all I'm doing is I've just got my hand at the back of the tin. I'm just holding it up just enough so it doesn't suddenly drop. I'm just taking the weight of it. Right, so now that those are out, it will actually drop down. Now what I need to do is come to the front of the bike, to the front end, and one at a time just relieve these two bolts that hold the tin at the front. Okay, that's it. It's just a matter now of bringing it backwards, following the contour of the wheel to the point where you can lift it out, and there we go. That's out nice and clean. Okay, so that's the rear fender off. Now you can see what I was on about, loosening that front one there. It gives you a bit more, I don't know if you can see that, gives you a bit of play, opens it up a little bit. Right, so now what we're going to do is put the light fittings onto the tank and have a dry run, and sorry, on the rear fender, the white rear fender, and just do a dry fit on that. It's a good opportunity if you're doing this, obviously, down there on your swing arm and the back of your airbox filter there, just to give that a clean while you've got it in bits, just to keep it clean anyway. So that's what I usually do. Right, so we'll get the bits and pieces on the rear fender, which is over there now. Okay, that's all the tins on now, test fitted, and I'm pleased with those. So it gives me an idea now of how much room the painter or the artist has to work with now. Now everything's on. Obviously this, I have got a rear seat and everything for when I take the bride out. So obviously all this area, you wouldn't see any of this anyway. There ain't a lot on the side. You've got a bit down there. But what I'll probably do is when I do take it on rides and we get to where we're going, I'll probably take the seat off, this seat, for a few hours while we, laid up somewhere, and have some artwork on here that obviously people will be able to see. The tank's a good fit and the front fender, so that's all ready to rock and roll now. So it's just a case of taking some photos now for the guy, and so he can see what he's got to work with. I might even roll the bike outside and do that. So yeah, no, everything fits nice. Nothing needs adjusting. So it's all gone together really, really easy. So that's going to be the main focal thing. That's what obviously the tank's going to have the Union Jack on there, and then on one side, on that panel there, probably I'll have something to do with my granddad, who was 1st Airborne 2nd Battalion of the South Staffs, so I shall have something there. And the other side, I've got a friend whose best mate was obviously killed in Afghanistan, so we're going to dedicate the bike to him, so it'll have that on that side. So I don't know whether to do it on the flat bit or on the curved bit here. When I do it, I'll probably end up doing it on here. We'll see. We'll see how it looks anyway once we get the Union Jack flags on it and get an idea. But anyway, right, I'm going to strip it all off now, give it a fine up wipe over, and then get it all boxed and taped up ready to take to the painter. So the next time you'll see this, it will hopefully have some paint on it and give you an idea of what it's going to look like. Alright then guys, thanks for watching anyway, and I'll catch up with you soon. And you take care out there. Cheers, bye.